Hello, in this video, we're going to be looking at setting up Office Lime for the first time. So let's go to lucy.org. Here we have Lucy, and it's a variant of CodeFusion. You can head to lucy.org and then you click on the downloads. Once you are there, you head straight to 5.0. 6.0 is the latest version now, as at the point of the recording. The one that we need for our current system is 5.0. So you pick the highest version of 5.0, which is here. Once you select this, the next thing for you to do, it will reload and give you the various form of installation that you can do for 5.0. So we are focused on Express. There are several methods in which you can install Lucy, but this is the recommended one because it's very flexible. Once you click on this, it will download this for you in zip format. So it will be in a form of zip, which you won't see now. But once you unzip it, it will be here inside this directory. Make sure you put your file in your root directory. Let's say C drive if you are using Windows. For my Mac, I have a app volume here, which is a hard drive itself. I have several volumes on my left. So here it's inside the root directory of apps. So within this folder, once you unzip it, it will have a kind of name. So you can rename it to Lucy 5 because other versions will be coming in the future so that you can run simultaneous or different instances of the same Lucy. Now that we are in here, you will notice that there are several folders. I will just go straight to the folder that we need. The first folder for you to run your application is startup.bat for Windows or startup.sh for both Linux and Mac. I use Mac, I'll be using more of this. But in your own situation, if you're using Windows, you can go ahead and use .bat. It's going to be run in terminal. So you're going to execute it the way you execute a bat file. Let's start up the application itself. So the command for me to run is sudo, then the path to where my Lucy is installed. My Lucy is here, as I mentioned. I have an app volume, Lucy 5 startup.sh. If you are using Windows, you're going to use .bat. So once I execute this, it asks me to provide this information, and I have my Lucy running. So your Lucy is running. This is the information about the Lucy instance that is going on here. So it's running on Apache 9.0 and what have you. So Lucy got started in 1057 milliseconds. Now, where do you put your CodeFusion code? Let's go and look at where our app is. So we have the Owaf 3 and then we have Office Lime OApp itself. The OApp is the enterprise version of Office Lime, which is the one we are trying to put on our system. So let's start with Owaf 3. So you come to the code section here and then you pull out the Git endpoints. This is how you clone it on your own system. So you can copy this, go to your Git client, whatever Git client you are using, then you pull it up. So this is, I've already done that on my own system. Make sure you're on the main branch. For this, make sure you're on the main branch. You will not be doing any updates on the OWAF itself, or if you need to do any update, you can make sure that you are cloning it on your own private repo, because this is the official part. I also cloned it on my own Arrow, Wolo repo. That's where I make changes to it, and then I can make a pull request so that it will be updated on the official OAuth platform. Now, when you are cloning this, it's very important that you save it in a specific folder. So what folder would you put all your code? Very important. Go back to that Lucy 5 and there's a place called web apps. That web apps shows you another folder called root. Inside the root folder is where you have all your CodeFusion or your Lucy code will reside here. This is the OAuth 3 sitting right here. Now, we are done with OAuth. The next part is for us to go and get the OApp. That's the enterprise version of the Office Lime. Now, the same thing you did on OAuth, you do the same thing on Office Lime. Notice the endpoint here. It ends with oapp.git. Obviously, the folder is going to be called OApp, but you will need to do some changes here. when you clone it. When you clone the repo, you come here, it's already cloned, right? So when you clone it normal, it's going to ask you to save it in a particular directory. When you are saving it, make sure you end up calling it officelimex. If you clone it normally, it's going to be called OApp. Once it's called OApp, you have to rename it and change it to officelimex. That's the requirement that the system will accept when you're running the application, because we use this name a lot in the entire app itself. So the folder name itself has to be officelimex. If you clone it and then you rename it, it might break what you just did here. So you might need to go and reopen it. But this time around, when you're opening it, you are not using the Git URL or the Git endpoint to call it up. You are just opening it in your own system. Now, let's go to the code base. This is using trae.ai app, alternative to Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open a folder, and the folder I'm opening is going to be in my root. Then I can open the Owaf 3 or Office Lime, anyone. You can open anyone first. So I have this opened. Because you might need to be doing some lookup to check how some things are implemented in OAuth. You can also add OAuth folder inside here. So this is OAuth 3. I'll just drag and drop. Now, when you are dropping, make sure that you select that it should add folder to workspace, not copy folder. You add folder to workspace. This way, you end up with a look that looks like this. So you can check what is being implemented. If you want to check a tag specification, you can go and look at it in there. And then while you continue your development in OfficeLime. So let's look at OfficeLime and talk about one or two things that I've done in terms of the structure. First thing is that you need to set up your database. Database is very important. So where is the connection to the database? What holds the database connection? Is in this file, which is dev environment config. So this part here needs to be updated with information on your system. So the database connection needs to be specified. On your system, your MySQL should be 3306. Our assumption is that this will be what is on your system. If you have MySQL, the default MySQL installation uses port 3306. But for my system, I use 08 for some personal reasons. Now, your database name should be called OfficeLime. The data will be presented to you. We'll send you the data so that you can script it, or rather you can upload it into your own database. But set up database and make sure there's no password. If there's password in your database, you can just specify password and put the password information there. Then every other thing is not provided. If you want to test email functionality, you can use your personal email, official email, to test those information, put the needful there, and then mails will deliver when you are requiring mail functionality. Also, what we did here is to decide which environment you are on. So, but for now, since you are developing, make sure this is always 1. If you're on live server, it will be 0. Application CFC just brings in this other fellow. It brings in the dev configuration environment so that it can inject itself into this place. Every other thing, kind of done automatically as long as the setup is done correctly. Don't forget that the name of the folder needs to become called officelimex. It's hand coded. Now, this is the database which will provide you. I will script the database and send to you. We have over, I think, close to 300 tables, which you will need to also update on your own end so that you can have access to use the entire system. Let's see how we can start coding on this. Right now, I've made 1 or 2 changes on the application, and it has started registering changes on my system, which shouldn't be because I'm not on an official branch. Normally, before you make any change, you should be on a branch so that all those changes will be captured on that branch. Now, let's see how that goes. If I open OfficeLime, this is OfficeLime here. The way this works, the methodology that we use is we use Git flow. So you could check out Git flow online, just Google it. It will tell you what that is. Now, the way Git flow works is that you have main and develop. The branch develop is majorly known to be what you are using to develop, and then main happens to be the production. Whatever is in main is quote unquote error free, meaning there's no issues, you are done all the due diligence, and then it can go into main. So theoretically, everything in main are cool. Development is what you are currently working on, and once you put it into main, you are good to go. Now, apart from that explanation of what those branches are, there's also another form of branch which are called features, issues, and hotfix. That's trying to explain Git flow now. What we use or what we do is that we use main, develop, and features. Main, develop, and features. So I'm going to show you how to create a new feature. Most times features will be created by me, and then you will just need to work on those features. And once you are done, you will close out the feature, and the feature will hit back into the develop. Then develop will create releases, and then it will enter the main. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, don't worry. We're going to do a quick sample demo now. Now, if you've initiated Git flow on your repo, it will have some of this menu you're about to see. Because I've initiated Git flow, it has Git flow menu active. Then I can start a feature. We will not be doing hotfix. We will just be doing features only. So I'll start a feature which I would already have created. Now this feature, I will call it leave. So what this does is that we want to add features to the leave module. I could name it differently. I could use numbers. So whatever it is that the direction is will determine what the future will be. It can be a specific feature in the entire leave module. So that is what it is. And notice what it is here is starting from, I'm picking from branch. So features normally pick their base branch from develop. So what that does is that everything that is inside develop is now inside leave module. Now, this leave module, we have not done anything, and I'm going to commit something. Obviously, I'm sure you know what commit means. Commit is kind of saving. Now, let's commit what we've done. We've done two things, literally. Done two updates. The first update we did was, let's look for it. We added password to our configuration, and the second thing we did here was to remove this comment section here. So I will come to this part and put this into the system. And this is one of the standard thing I will want you to also use, that it's good for you to use the AI to generate all these commits. Make sure you are committing things that are related together. Don't commit things that are out of, that are not related to each other. So I put that auto generate my commit statement, and I can put that into the system. Once it generates this, I can commit. Once I commit, I push to the branch. Unfortunately, my Git is not configured to push correctly on this IDE. So I will just have to go back to my Git client to push those changes. Now, this is what I have here. So what push does is to save it on GitHub, right? That's the push method. It saves to GitHub. Now that all the commits, once we do all our commits on the leave module, once we are done with the feature called leave module, we can say what? We can say finish. There's this part here. We'll still go to that same Git flow and say finish. Most of this feature will be done by me, right? But I need to also let you know the process. So once we click on finish, it then save all the updates and put it back to develop, because the whole thing was coming from develop anyway. So it saves everything back to develop. Now notice that we now have one under develop, meaning we have one branch that has been committed to it and we've not pushed online. Then notice that if we then want to do, and that develop obviously can also be for testing. You've tested everything, everything is fine, and you want to now make that code available on the live server. The next thing you do is that you right click on that develop, and this time around, you still go to Git flow, then you create a new release. So my new version will be version 3.7.1, and then I start a new release. In your release, this is where you document, you send in your documentation and everything. So most times I don't do anything in release, I just use it to capture the process. So the next thing I do, and I come back to Git flow, this time around I say I'm done with the release, I finish the release. The process of you clicking this finish release we copy everything on the develop branch and take it to the main branch. So you can see that we now have updates on the main branch. So if you look at this very well, this is following the git tree process. The reason why you're having these ones like this is because they've not been pushed to the repo. So if I push this one, it goes to the repo, and then I can come here, double click on this, and I push this, it goes to the repo as well. So everybody get access to what is going on. And you can see most of the updaters as well on the IDE that I'm using, trae.ai. So you can also check out the IDE. I have quite a number of extensions that you can use that might be beneficiary to you, because if you install this by default, you might not see all the installation automatically. You might not have all these features automatically. So I have auto closing tag to automatically close my tag. I have auto rename in case if I misspelled some things. I have bootstrap to quickly bring in some snippets for me. I have flutter snippets. Obviously, you will need to have code vision. Then I have code runner. The idea is to run quite a number of programming language automatically. Then I have code spell check. This is no brainer. Every developer always once in a while have issues typing the right thing. I won't say spelling the right thing, typing the right thing in. This one just highlights anything, any word that it sees that is not correctly spelled. And what you can do, you can say add it to a dictionary, and then it adds that to what needs to be done. This I use it to snap my code. If you want to snap some part of your code, put it, maybe you want to do a blog or something like that. I use this for that. Code fusion commentation. This allows for commenting if you want nice comment to be done. So I have that. This is, I run that programming language, so I should have this one. I have database client JDBC. So what this does is allow you to have database on your Visual Studio Code. I think that is it. Yeah, you can run varieties of database. So this is Postgres, right? You can run Postgres. You can run several engines. So this is me trying to connect. These are all the engines you can run on this extension. It comes in handy if I don't want to leave this interface. I just stay here and do all the things I need to do. Then this is very important, this duplicate action. This is what allows me to be able to do something like this, duplicate file or directory. Normally, it's not available in Visual Studio Code. You can't duplicate in Visual Studio Code. So that extension is a lifesaver when you need to do something like as simple as duplicating a file or folder. Then I also do React. So I have React and Redux going on there. Then this is linter file size. Yes, I also like to see the size of the file I'm working with. So this shows on the bottom right of the screen. This is it again, file size. So I think it's a nice extension to use. Now let's go to Flutter River. So this one is majorly for Flutter dev. I use Riverpod in my Flutter. So that's what is that one is all about. Then Git graph. Git graph is why we are here. So it's a nice to have to give you that nice view of what's going on. I have Go. I also develop in Go. So it's obvious that we need to have Go extension. Highlight matching tags, very, very important. If you put your mouse on a particular tag, you want to see the end of the tag. So this is also good. Indicator color. So this is to highlight which indentation you are working with as you are working with a particular view. So I also do PHP. So obviously I will need something that will help me autocomplete PHP. CSS, Java, I also do Java. I also need something that will help me with Java. So NPM, that's Node. This is for easy installation of dependencies. Within your package.json, you want to be able to automatically click and install dependencies. You have npm intelligence, you have npm script. This is wonderful because what this does is allow you to one click run a particular script in your package.json. Then REST client. This is allow you to create easy REST API without making it so sophisticated, hard for you to create an endpoint. So you can, that's for testing majorly. So you can do something like this, for example, and by clicking it, you will have consumed posts for this endpoint. So it's as easy as that. Just writing this will consume posts. You don't need to create Postman or have Postman to start testing an endpoint. Search SFT. This is really a lifesaver. So this is what I used to upload to my server online. SVG preview. Yeah, if you want to preview an SVG, you can do this one.